to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight marks a beginning new era for Freaky Fast Broadcasting. What a fitting name, our lone series that we're broadcasting for the current time period. It's the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series presented by DadBod.Studios. Go check out DadBod.Studios on TikTok today. Tonight, it's race number 6 of the season, and the drivers get to go back to mile and a half racing at Chicagoland. One of the drivers' favorites out there. I know it's one of my favorites to watch and race. It should be a good one here tonight. Again, thank you to DadBod.Studios for partnering up with the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series. Tonight's race at Chicagoland will be the Renwood 263 at Chicagoland. And we're excited to give you again all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me this evening, he helped carry the load last week as I wasn't here, is Zach Hall. Also want to say thank you to our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., for covering for me as well last week. But Zach, coming off of a wild race last week at Richmond, a kind of a weird, bizarre ending to that race. But tonight, we're excited to get back to more traditional action here at the mile and a half of Chicagoland.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a mix-up there to end last week, where we were even up in the booth. Me and Robert were questioning, what are we doing here now? So it was definitely a interesting ending to that night, but it was great racing overall. We had a lot of great runs there, of course, but I'm telling you, tonight is going to be super exciting. First off, folks, I'm glad to have our duo back up here with Sam Dyer, because, man, he's going to really help bring the energy up here tonight, and we're going to have a great show because, Sam, I think the one thing that we're going to see is a lot of close action. What we used to remember from this 550 package is very big groups of cars going for it pretty much at any moment, looking for any bit of clean air possible. You kind of like you run these cars so differently because of that draft package being so strong that you really can run different lines and really gain that time back by getting the clean air, so say, in the corners and getting that draft down the straightaway. So I think tonight's going to be all over the racetrack, just giant groups.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge thing of how do these cars react in the air. It's going to be our first time really seeing this car. I know it hasn't really been touched a lot with updates recently over the last couple of years, but we've watched a lot of other vehicles on how the dirty air has really affected things. I'm curious on how that's going to stop these drivers, but you also saw in that shot sparking. Zach, you were noticing it before we went live. These drivers are going to have a fun handful of a race just based off the center of the corner.
Yeah, definitely is very interesting to see. You're going to see a lot of this. And I don't know if it's more of a graphical issue with these cars, so to say, or if they actually are bottoming out, because it looks like, to me at least, I took a little closer look, it does like the left front is a little bit dragging on entry of the splitter, and then kind of the side skirt in the left side too. So maybe the left a little bit too low, but as the run goes on, the air pressure should build up, so that should become less of a problem, so to say. So as soon as you take off, it's going to be the worst it is. So at least it gets better, I guess you could say. So, but you got to equate the tire wear in there too. So it's all going to measure up and make for some interesting battles. So I think we're going to see a lot of sparks flying, but we're also going to see a lot of battles because, again, Chicagoland, one of the most racy tracks out there on the NASCAR circuit, and we're really glad. I think tonight it's going to be, one of the better tracks for this package even too.
We certainly are excited. Again, thank you for joining with us with our second broadcast of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. For those in the chat, hello to all of you out there. If this is your first time being a part of a Freaky Fast broadcast, we appreciate you showing up and giving the love to the drivers as well as up with us up in the booth. If you want to make sure you're notified when we are live every Monday night, remember to be subscribed and hit the bell notification button to be notified when we are live or when we upload any other fun videos in the future. But coming up so far this season, let's bring up some of the stats of how it's been so far. We'll start things off with the point standings here tonight, because it really could have blown up into a much bigger lead for Colin here, who's leading the points entering tonight, because of the fact that he didn't grab the win last week. That win went over to Drew Blaze, who grabbed his first win of the season. It's kind of minimized this gap a little bit. 18 points the difference between first and second, but you look at everywhere else, it is a much closer battle between everyone else in the field.
That it is. And also last week we didn't have Justin Johnson, who came into last week technically tied for the points lead. So he ends up losing 26 points, and it kind of helped that Colin did have that issue. Of course, talking about the black flag there, Sam, at the end of the race. But yeah, really from fifth on back, I mean, look, Chris Lawless there is 55 back from the lead, but then you got Russell Windsor right there, who's 2 points from him. Harold's right behind him, 2 points, 1 point for Allen, then another 2 to Eric, and he's tied with Nicholas DiFrancesco. And then, I mean, it continues down all the way to Chris Klein, always. Actually, even farther as I look to the right. So it is very, very close in points.
Yeah, and the points could be even closer. One of the main things with this point system with the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series is the points that you can gain from bonus points as well as penalty points. Drivers are really gaining and losing a lot each and every week. As we've been learning more and more about this series, some of the big ways that you can gain bonus points: you can get a bonus point for leading a lap, you can get a point for leading the most laps. The driver who gains the most positions from where they qualified, they also can grab 1 bonus point. If you win, 1 bonus point, and just by finishing the race, that's 2 bonus points. And then another one, 0 incidences, that's another 2 bonus points. But Zach, I think the biggest thing for both of us that's kind of a shocker is how aggressive that we are against at-fault incidences for wrecks and just incident points in general, because you can lose 5 points by being the cause of a wreck, and you also can lose points every 4 incidences that you have each race.
That's right. Yeah, you have to really be focused on keeping it clean. So I think it's going to, especially these tracks, lead to, a lot of thought process when you're racing somebody, because you're a lot closer here, kind of like the super speedways, not necessarily as dramatic as those places, but still very close, with the draft being a huge factor at places like this. And also the short tracks, I mean, you got to be staying out of incidents too, but still, this is going to be a season of you got to be quick, you got to be fast and consistent, but you cannot be out there just being a bully. We've seen sometimes some people out there, they're quick, but they're bowling balls. They drive through the field, they kind of cause a lot of incidents, they have a lot of enemies that build up, and I think this situation here builds it where you have to be a much more clean driver, also miss the messes of other people. So you got to really focus on staying clean, and I think that'll be a very big talking point throughout the whole season when it comes to the points.
And it's not like you can accrue unlimited amount of incident points. There is a cutoff line. After 20 incidences, you can be disqualified. So drivers have to keep it to a minimum of getting to the wall, getting into the grass, and the big thing that's going to hurt you, getting into other drivers. But we've got 7 minutes left here in practice before we get into tonight's race. The grid will be randomly set up. Drivers also will be given EOLs. We'll do a little bit of a rundown once we get to gridding for the drivers. But here's where we've been so far this season. 5 races in the books, and we started things off at Auto Club, seeing Austin Mice getting the victory for himself there. Then Colin going to be Clary getting the win at Las Vegas. Then at Talladega, it was Justin Johnson winning there. That's going to be a fan favorite to see him win. Then Colin Clary gets another win at the 2008 configuration of Echo Park, otherwise known as Atlanta. And then last week, we got to see the hectic finish, the Black Flags fiasco. The victory goes to Drew Blazer. But the future races, I think this is where we're going to have some fun. We've got Chicagoland tonight, Dover, and then the money race. We've got ourselves Charlotte Motor Speedway full-length race. We got a couple of those throughout the season, but I think that one's going to be a long one for us and for the drivers.
Yeah, for sure. That is going to be an endurance event, so to say. So that'll be really interesting to see how the drivers can make it through that. And tonight will be a good chance to learn for that. There are different mile and a halves at Chicagoland, of course, in Charlotte, but you can always learn things from this package that you can bring there, this 550 package. So we'll see how that works out. And then, of course, we'll have the one road course after that, Sam, of the season. So that is a huge shakeup there. And then, of course, the Tricky Triangle of Pocono. So they got some pretty interesting weeks coming up here. And I'm even excited for Dover with this new rubber change. I was talking about it last week with Robert, watching the rubber lay down, get picked up between the runs. And concrete surfaces are very well known for that. So I'm going to be interested to see how that race plays out, of course, with all these others as well.
And who's going to have the rubber next week at Dover? Should be a good one. Cannot wait for it. But again, based off that schedule, the 5 races that we ran so far, we've already ran 2 mile-and-a-half races. And of those 2, it's just been one driver getting into victory lane. That's going to be Colin Clarity, who most likely should have won last week as well, trying to go for his 3rd win of the season. And I got to say, the 7, if we could find his way up front, should be the favorite, currently the fastest on our board here for practice, as well as the 45 of Mike Fahey going to be in 2nd, and then the 16 of Tony Idaluca going to be in 3rd. Again, Zach said it last week. I give a grace period of 3 weeks. I'll figure out these names for sure. We'll have them down. We'll be in hype moments, and we shouldn't be tripping up as much. But top 3, excited to see how those drivers are going to be reacting, especially with how things are going to change up with the grid. There's no proper qualifying. You show up and you hope you're in the right position.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be keeping us on our toes, even the drivers on their toes. So it's going to be fun to see how that all shakes up, who starts where. But yeah, Colin really, really strong throughout this season so far, of course, as the points leader. Last week it looked like it was setting up to be his victory. Of course, got that black flag, which got to give Drew Blaze, even though the circumstance he probably won it, he probably didn't want to win it that way, but a late race yellow definitely took him out of contention there late from the lead. So he was having a really, really strong race, kind of got it back, into his hands really there late after that whole incident on the restart. So I'm expecting him to be right in the mix again here tonight. And also some other drivers who maybe, we didn't get to see their true potential last night because not everybody, prefers those short tracks. Some guys are going to really be a driver that really prefers the intermediates, in my opinion, with this style of car. It's very, very, a wide variety of driving skill, in my opinion, from track to track. And I think you're going to see guys that maybe didn't have the greatest weeks last week at Richmond show up here tonight and have a chance and an opportunity to shine here under the lights of Chicagoland.
I think it should be a fun one. I mean, asked a couple of drivers on what their favorite tracks were. A couple of drivers said 1.5 miles was their go-to to go after. One of those being, we're going to test out names right now. Aiden, even Ichiko, he's going to be one of those drivers who said that was 1.5 miles was one of his favorites, and he'll have to start in the back of the line if he shows up here tonight. A lot of drivers having to be sent to the back. We've got Aiden as well as going to be Ken Couch, Eric Dillingham, Russell going to be Windsor, going to be David Collins, Colin Clarity as well is going back. Clary going back there. Johnny Bobby Brown set to the back, and a few other drivers as well going to be starting this race further on back. So if you get a good qualifying position, you could be in control for at least the starting go of this race, as we've got less than 3 minutes left in this warm-up before we get to race time. Zach, we're here at Chicagoland. What makes this track so much of, I know for myself, a favorite, but what makes it kind of a favorite for a lot of drivers to come to a track like Chicagoland?
I think one of the things that really makes it fun, Sam, is it has a wide variety of options. When we go to some of these tracks on iRacing, it's very, you have to hit this mark, you have to hit this point, certainly on the track, to be at the optimal grip. This place has opportunities all around it personally. There's a lot of bumps. It's very low grip also. So I think that equates to having more options where you don't have too high of grip level. You can kind of move around and find where the grip is at. And you can see right here, just from watching these drivers, top all the way against the wall, one against the white line. That's really what I think everybody loves about this track. It really has just the immense amount of options and the ability to do such moves as this, as you see him swapping down here on the other end of the racetrack. So it's a really, really favorite track of mine personally. It's definitely in the top 3 of the intermediates out there for me, just because of the character it really has between it, not only with the surface being older, but just with how it races in general.
As you're seeing what the sparks are like just with two drivers around one another. It's going to be fun to see the sparks flying here tonight, as it will be 175 laps this evening. No stage break, no fast repairs. Another factor that's going to be interesting of note to watch out for, only 3 extra sets of tires in pit road. We've yet to have a race go caution free. That is going to be an interesting point to watch throughout tonight, because the timings of yellows could throw off when you're deciding to use your only 3 sets.
Very, very true, Sam. Yeah, with only 3 sets in pit road, you're going to have to pick and choose those battles of when you come to pit road very, very wisely, because if you come early, you're going to put yourself in a situation where maybe later in the race you're not going to be able to take some tires under even a green flag situation. So we'll have to see how that all works out. But right now we're checking out all the track details, and it's quite a track, but also with the air temperature we got here tonight, I think the grip level should be pretty high with that 70-degree track temp and 68-degree air temperature.
A little bit of a wind that's gusting. That's going to be something that could affect these drivers later on. But for tonight, less than 30 seconds left. I think if you look at just this season, I think the 7 is the odds-on favorite to watch out for, but we're excited to see how the rest of the field, how can you impress the fans? How can you impress us up in the booth as we are about to get to racing action? For those that are watching and are able to do so, let's put in the chat, who are you rooting for? What drivers are you hoping to see success? Is it a full team? Is it one driver? We'd love to see who you're rooting for here tonight, because it is time for the Renwood 263 at Chicago to get underway. Warm-up is concluding. That means it's time for us to get race number 6 of the season charged and ready. We got a Maddox Racing fan out there from the Renwood Hunt YouTube chat. We also have asked out there, that's Wolf Live, that is our very own Richard Wolsifer, saying, are there any 56 numbers out there? I'm gonna have to search again. I don't think I saw 56. So not out there just yet, but the grid is getting set. Drivers are given their penalties, and let's see where these drivers, 24 in total, are starting out here tonight. Well, one of them is already going to be sent to the back. That'll be Russell Windsor in the 14. Technically has the pole starting position, but going to be a part of a big gaggle of cars sent to the back. Chris Klein going to be in the 51 as well, going to be up front in second place with Austin. Going to be Gruwell in third for the 94. Harold Crow in the 33 will be in fourth with Ken Couch starting in fifth. Sixth, we find the 16 of Tony in DeLuca. I'm so sorry for probably butchering your name. We also are going to have Alex. That's going to be Dushan in the 9. And then in 8th place, it's Corbin. I think Reich is that for the 21. Johnny Bobby Brown in the 06 will start 9th with going to be James DeBose in the 55 starting 10th. And Zach, now it's your time. You've got a week. What are the rest looking like?
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 707 of David Collins with Mike Fahey starting alongside him in 12th. 13th is going to be Alan Swan with the 30 of Caden Watts starting in 14th alongside him. 15th is going to be the 19 of Jacob D. Booth with 16th going to Paul Boomershine. 17th is going to be Eric Dillingham with 18th going to Austin Mees, with 19th going to the 24 Nicholas Don Francesco, and rounding out our top 20 is the points leader of Colin Clary.
As that will be our top 20. Then 21st, it's Ken Blackburn with Jordan Maddox in the 37, all the way back in 22nd position. And also want to say thank you to Super Chat. All in on Jordan Maddox, baby. Well, he's got some work to do to get up front, but is eligible for going for the most positions gained. It helps to be starting further on back with Chris Lanos going to be in that 23rd position. And then because of winning last week, automatically set to the end of the line will be Drew Blaze and the 88. 24 drivers for tonight's race, 175 laps in total, as the drivers wait for the go button to take off here tonight. Certainly should be a good one overall, but with so many drivers changing up their positions because of all these EOLs, it should be something where the drivers, they've already had a couple of weeks of racing around one another. I'm curious on how much give and take are we going to see here early in this race? There's some drivers that early on, they want to keep their position, test out their rubber, and test out, can you defend? Others are going to back off, and I'm curious on that point, Zach, of who's willing to just give up immediately for one tires and just track position.
You're exactly right, Sam. It's going to be a good question of who's really going to be that driver's willing, or who's going to want to go out there and get that extra bonus point for leading the most laps. Who's going to be the leader of everyone, so to say. As you can see, all the cars there pulling to the left, the mini group of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars pulling down to the bottom here to get that EOL from last week's incidents. And like you said, also the winner EOL for Drew Blaze, who starts in the back anyways due to that. So yeah, Russell, I believe Windsor's dropping back, so Chris Klein, like you said, he should be the leader, I believe, when this all goes. It'll be Alex Duchesne and the 9 who jumps up to the front row with him.
Going to be seeing the 9 machine starting on the inside. It will be based off iRacing's on the initial start is based off of iRacing whenever you go. Then after that, it's in the restart zone for whoever's in the lead. As because of so many drivers having EOLs, we will extend this for another lap. This traditionally doesn't happen at any tracks over a mile. Usually you just get that one lap and we're right to racing action. We'll get another one to loop it around as the drivers up front. It's going to be Chris Klein on the outside for the 51. Looking at the drivers and points entering tonight, Colin Clary, Drew Blaze, Austin Mice, those top 3 have been consistently the top 3 to watch out for week in and week out. Now it's time to see how well can they climb through the field, because with everyone taking the EOLs, they all got to be in a single file line. And Zach, you can see in this shot, that is going to be a tough one, as half the field is getting the traditional side-to-side, while the other half, they're getting a little bit of taste of what old NASCAR was like.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much most of the people who had the penalty were on the bottom lane. So it is made for an interesting situation. I mean, think of some of these guys who have jumped so many rows up ahead just due to that. So that is interesting to see, and we'll see how this works out for a few of these drivers, as everybody's going to start up top there, and we'll have this other group of 4 lonely drivers on the bottom being able to benefit from the ELLs of other drivers. So this is already started before the races even dropped the green. We got some interesting things playing out.
Tonight, it could really change up your evening of a season. And for a lot of drivers, they've got a lot of penalties, but you need to make the switch. If you want to fight for a championship, there's no playoffs. There's no fight for an extra chance. It is a full season of being consistent and mounting up. Who's going to find the consistency here tonight for 175 laps? Let's find out. You've got the 51 of Chris Klein on the outside. He started there. Then you've got the 9 of Alex starting on the inside groove. Rest of the field, they wait as the green flag is out for the Renwood 263 at Chicagoland, as the whole field finally gets up to speed, and we're roaring down into turn number 1.
We'll see how these cars get up to speed here, because a little bit slower than normal will be that being this 550 horsepower high downforce giant spoiler package. You can see already down the back straightaway, it's 3 by 3 by 3 as they go, and it's going to be Chris Klein with the push from the 33 of Harold Crow, who shoves him out front here to lead the way off of 3 and 4. But you can see right there, the 9 fighting the car on the bottom side there. That is cold tires. Definitely a little bit of a handful already.
The help for the track surface is even colder than it traditionally would be, as you see up front, Chris Klein going to lead that lap. That's 1 bonus point for himself. Harold Crow, otherwise known as Harry for the 33, wants to make the inside groove work to attempt to go for a pass, but everyone getting in line quickly and through the corners. This is that differing position. Do you want the inside? Do you want the outside? How aggressively do you want to push? And it looks like for the 33, it's all about the lead, as Crow trying to lead this lap, but Klein denies as everyone else start to squeeze up and start to see some movement on the outsides of the 24.
Big runs all around. That draft is so powerful down the back straightaways. The Dom Francesco, he was running strong at Richmond last week. He's showing strength here right now on the top side. Going to come right behind Chris Klein, who gave up that spot to Russell Crowe, but maybe feels a little bit better about holding back this position from the 24 on this outside, and maybe saving a little tire here early. But look at them all grouping up here as the speed of the group stacks up.
Duchesne's really the driver, the 9 machine. He has been wiggling, cannot find any grip off the exit of the corner, and it's holding back everyone that loves the inside groove, that's trying to save their tires. It's just not there, as Harold Crow continues to try to pull away, but it's Don Francisco on the outside who's going to be finding himself with a huge run for the 24. Great job for himself as Chris Klein, middle groove, he's stuck, gotta be careful, as on the outside, starting to see the 16 and Tony finding momentum, but all eyes gotta be on seeing the 97, Austin Mice. He wants to get up front very quick, as well as the 7 of Colin, who's put down the fastest lap. We'll take it back. It's gonna be Maddox who's flying. It's the 9, ducks to the apron to get out of the way.
Big slide again for the 9, but also I see another driver get up in the wall there in 3 and 4. It was all Alan Swan. He went back from 7th back to 12th now in the middle of the thick of things. You can see here everybody fighting for track position. And this is what this package does. It really makes a race where you have to look in your mirror, look forward at every moment. You have to have eyes in the back of your head pretty much to race this package, I've always said. So right now, these drivers are under full attack, and it's going to be this way from really the drop of the green flag all the way to the check.
We've already seen here in the first 6 laps, the entry is easier than the exit. That is 100%, especially on the starting points of this race. You got the grid to really abuse these tires on the entry of the corner, but the exit, you got to find the grid, find the temps to be able to carry out some quick speed. Right now, seeing the middle of the pack, everyone side by side up front. It's still the 33 of Crow and Nicholas in the 24 that are just trying to keep their footing, trying to pull away, but the draft's just not allowing that right now.
It's definitely not allowing that. Another car up into the outside wall. I believe that was the 19 of Jacob Booth back here. He's going to lose a few spots right in front of this group, and now we're watching Austin Means. We got Mike Fahey in the 45 working the bottom group. He's trying to look his way around as everybody trying to find their way forward, because those top 2 were trying to break away there for a little bit, but I think the pack's going back to them. That's the thing about this package. It's almost like the super speedways, you know, where you can see those little breakaway groups sometimes that people form up and kind of work together, so to say. So it's going to be interesting to see if this grouping that's running side by side can keep up with the leaders who've been single file. But as I say that, Francesco goes for the lead up front as Harold just not able to hold him for a moment, but that 33 has been so strong. We'll see if he fights back on the 24.
And St. Nicholas take the lead for the 24 machine, and watching the rest of the pack trying to find where they want to go. Chris Klein trying to attempt at least on the entry, but the center point of that corner lost all speed, and it's Colin in the 7 ripping the bottom, finding a little bit of extra pace for himself on the outside. That's going to be Jacob D. Booth trying to carry his momentum as well. That 19 looked sneakily quick, was looking aggressive on wanting to use this rubber, but every lane that they've chosen, there's a driver just getting wiggly off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, sometimes you just end up picking that wrong lane, so to say, and it's just, you just go, oh man, just in the wrong place at the wrong time as you're going to ride on board here. As you can see a little bit of the check up there late on the exit behind the 14 of Russell Windsor's. I believe we're riding on board with that 707 there, or sorry, the 06 of Johnny Bobby Brown there, as he's going to take the top side this time. And you can see how bumpy 3 and 4 is. There's a lot of bumps there in 3 and 4. And that's always one of the interesting things, navigating that corner, is you try to guide that car around there of this track. But tell you one thing I'm seeing interesting, Sam, we have this group up here of really our top 12 kind of broken away from a second grouping now that's formed up from 13th on back. As you can see, this mayhem that's leading. We also have a bunch of group of drivers about 10 seconds back that are just kind of riding.
I got a sense that people know we have not had a caution-free race, and with the racing action of everyone on top of one another up front and how much they're willing to be 3 wide, 2 wide, and almost running into one another, playing defensive and just protecting your race might be the best call if you want to make it to the end of this thing. As you see here further on back, just hovering. This is the battle for 16th place. It's the 37 of Jordan Maddox, as well as seeing the 55 of, that's going to be James DeBose, who's trying to stay strong ahead of all the competition. You also have Boomer Shine behind them in the 92. Is the field just trying to settle in? We're only 12 laps in, but honestly, at any moment, you could see this pack slowly catch back up to the leaders if they've been saving their tires for this long run.
They really can. Yeah, that's the beauty of this kind of package. You can kind of give up a little time here early, usually, and kind of fight your way back. You know, so just because you're not up here in this front group just battling, I think being about a second or two back from that group is not the worst situation to be in. So a little bit cleaner air, a little bit easier on the tires. Maybe that'll come back around, because this race, 175 laps, is very much going to be an endurance. You know, it's not going to be a sprint here, so to say. So we'll see how this all shakes out. And like you said, we haven't had a caution-free race yet. So if anything, just stay out of troubles. You can see right there up into the wall. I believe that was the 7. Or no, sorry, that was the 19 again of Jacob Booth. As the 7 here, Colin stuck on the bottom side after that 19 above him got in the wall.
Just got a little bit squeezed off the exit of the corner, and that's another thing that's unique about Chicagoland. It's a track that really is, there's no pure straightaway. It is curved everywhere around this track, so off the exit, onto the entry, it squeezes in. If you're not careful, you can run into that driver to the outside if you're pushing high. And everyone staying close as Booth, even with the brushing of the wall last lap, is marching his way into 3rd position. And following in suit, it's going to be Mike Fahey, which, you know, looking at the stats, this is still early season. A lot of drivers getting their first attempts to be racing here in the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. And this is only going to be Mike Fahey's 2nd start of the season. Last week was his 1st start. So good to see drivers that are, you know, joining in late in the season, looking quick and adding some pace to the lead.
Definitely so. Good to see that for sure. And right up in the mix here once again for him, as he was running very strong there at Richmond. Got caught up in a few incidents, but was running strong there. So good to see him right in the mix. And I felt like maybe this would fall into a better track for him tonight. It's definitely looking strong so far as he's got alongside Booth. As everybody's starting to migrate a little bit, Sam. You know, one thing I'm noticing is battle for the lead again, as this looks like the 33 of Harold's finally got back to the quarter panel. And I can tell you one thing that's strong that I just noticed. Side drafts are very, very strong in these cars. As you get to that quarter panel, you can really pull someone back with these high downforce, low horsepower motors.
And Jacob Booth in the 19 needs a good run. You know, talking about how you can gain a lot of points with bonus points, you can lose a lot of points. Jacob D. Booth leads the chart of drivers that have lost the most points on the penalty system. So this 19 needs a win, and right now, looking strong on the outside, but you gotta make sure you keep your troubles of running into other drivers and the wall, because if you get too many incident points, get over 4 in every 4, you could lose a point. So you don't want to do that if you're the 19, even with looking as quick as you are, challenging the 33 of Harold Crow.
Looking pretty strong as that 19 had a good run there off of 2. See, I did something there off of 4 because the 24 there looking to the inside is now Fahey was in 4th, now going to get the 7 to his outside along with the 51. It shows you just how fast you can go from being right in position to be like on the attack to where now someone's on your right rear quarter panel pulling you back and you get stuck on that bottom side and you get yanked from about 4th back to about 10th that quickly. So right now, that 7 just stuck right there on the bottom side, but it's going to be a night of a tug of war, really the lines of which line you want to be in.
And for the 24 of Don Francesco, going to be the driver that has one of the biggest gains so far. So going for that biggest mover, or biggest gains in a race, award currently up 16 positions. Is qualified in 19th place, was awarded that position. The 24 this is a good launch as he's watching Booth now strike to the inside, going for the pass for the lead.
Looking for that lead position is the 19. He's been into the wall a few times tonight. Gonna look to clear here off of 4, but a 33 big run off the top. 19 does a good job of making sure gives the room. That allows Harold Crow to lead that lap. And look at the big run from the 24. He's gonna look to the outside, but the 19 covers that big move off, and he's not allowing that 24 to get to the right rear. But now the 24 drives right to the quarter panel, and he's going to go around the outside and take 2nd place back. And if the 19 can't get up as he does, he will right in front of Tony DeLucas. Now the 16 diving to the inside. So some new players coming into the picture. Here's the 16 looking quick.
DeLucas going to be making the charge on the inside. 16 wanting to find favor, but the inside road looks to be a losing battle. It is giving false hope for these drivers. It looks like a strong lane to be in on entry, but you lose all your positions and more off exit. You gotta find a way to squeeze up to the outside. 16's not able to do it, and DeLuca loses a spot decline as the 51. Seeing that snap-on machine power his way, and Zach, the outside lane is powerful at this current moment.
That it really is. And that is, you know, kind of thinking back to this car, that's kind of what I felt from it back in the day too. Is a very, very powerful draft. As we check in here to our final 4 cars in the lead lap, they're 13.5 seconds off the lead, Sam. And what's interesting is they're running pretty much identical, if not about 0.2 to a tenth off sometimes of the leader's pace. But their fastest laps are about almost 0.8 of a second off of what some of our leaders have run. So they definitely never really pushed the car. I'm interested to see, is this a strategy call, or is like we said earlier, a call to stay out of the mess, or do they know something we don't know when it comes to strategy and fuel here tonight?
It's a fuel strategy call. If you're backing off this much, it has to be a fuel strategy. I'm curious if actually we can hop on board. I know we're battling up front, but I actually want to hop on board with the 88 machine of Drew Blaze and get an inside cockpit view of what is his looking like for RPMs. Is he clutching at all? Are they just backing off earlier than what everyone else is? Because I feel like that is the only reason that you'd be this far off. I think they maybe hit their fuel number they're looking for at this point. But Zach, if your fastest lap, he's almost a second slower than some of the top guys' fastest laps, that's a sign you are saving fuel for a long run and trying to cut a fuel stop down.
Definitely. And I was trying to do my best to get some fuel numbers coming into tonight, not having ran this car in so long, and really critical also to have those fuel numbers in a pack. You can go out there and try to get numbers running by yourself, but it's not going to give you too great of a result. But these guys back here running the slower pace, it makes me question really, are they doing this for fuel? Because looking at it, just how this race would set up, if you can go 59 laps on one of these runs, you can make this race into a 2-stop. So, and from the history I've looked at least looking back to races from 2022 and 2021, I believe you could go about 55 to 56 laps here at Chicagoland in this car. So if that's the case where these guys are going to have to go 58 to 59, that means they will have to save some fuel if they want to make it a 2-stop instead of a 3-stop. So that very well could be, I think, the strategy that maybe these drivers are implementing. And the other thing that it does too, Sam, is, you know, if you have to do the 3-stop strategy, you're going to have to use every set of tires you have in the pit road for that green flag pit stops if we were to say stay green. While these other drivers who do the 2-stop, if we were to get a late yellow or something in that last sequence, they would have the ability to have an extra set of a flexible set of tires. So not only will it help them kind of for shortening the race with pit stops, but also they could have that extra set just in case something happens. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works for that.
Oh no, trouble, 24. Don Francisco goes around. Also going to be seeing trouble for Booth and a couple of others backing off with the 24 around, but we stay green. No caution is thrown. We continue to race on, but trouble strikes off the exit of turn number 2.
Wow, just like that. We were, you know, talking about staying green possibly, and just like that, before a flash of an eye, that happens. And that was just an unfortunate situation. I don't know if we can get a replay of all that, but the 24 there of Don Francesco just unfortunately off 2. I think right in the dirty area, you're going to see right here from this replay. He's going to be tucked up right behind this 33, right here on entry, right through the middle, right on exit. And that is a case for an understeer moment and boom, right into the wall. 19 of Jacob Booth, really nowhere from to go. The pace that the 24 dropped off was so quick that the 19 tried to react, but the 24 was coming off the wall at that point, and unfortunately runs right in the back of him, and that leads to that incident. But somehow we stayed green with them all, keeping it somewhat straight.
Keeping it straight, and a lot of that contact going down onto the apron, so no one really else getting involved. But there's I believe, slight contact from the 45 to the 19 as the 16 was trying to find a space to get around Booth, but contact into the grass. And a big loss of time for Idaluca, who's now going to recover from all of that. It was Idaluca as well as Don Francesco, who's going to be the 2 drivers that have the biggest loss for themselves. As going to be Fahey still with that lead pack, and also looking through Booth, he's up still in 9th place, so still in the top 10 for those 2 other drivers. Unfortunate moments striking for themselves.
It really was. Yeah, that is tough. Just trying to avoid what happens ahead of you, and unfortunately going to lose a lot of time from that, of course. But right now we switch back up to this group. This is the 707 here, David Collins, and this is going to be the battle around 11th. And this is really from 9th, as you got Booth, who's, you know, dropped off of that front group. The 19 who's involved in that, he's actually leading this group, as you also got Deshane in the 9 kind of coming up to him out in the 9 machine catching up, so he's looking to get back up in the grouping after starting farther up towards the front there. Then Alan Swan along with David Collins. Right here is the battle we got on screen.
Collins is coming in tonight, not the strongest driver when coming for top 10s and top 5s. His best finish so far this season was 15th, and that was mired back last week at Richmond. So the 707 machine would love to get a better finish here tonight, currently in 12th. That's a better spot than where they started and lost 1 spot from where they qualified. We'll see if Colin can find his way to continue moving forward. Speaking about moving forward, here's the drivers that are inside of our top 5. It's going to be Austin Mice as well as going to be Chris Klein that are battling with one another. But with the jostle of that whole entire top 10 being moved around, there's a lot more spacing to work with. This gives times for drivers to really maximize on where they feel like their grip level is at if you can run down the drivers in front of you.
Oh, no doubt, as we're riding on board here with Austin Mees, as he's trying his best to find some way that, you know, either get around the 51 incline or make 51 and him go quicker, because right now Harold Crow, Colin Clary, who's actually battling for the lead, as we say that, actually right on the 7 machine, actually inside of our leader of Harold. So Colin from the back to the front, this 7 looking so strong. I mean, being our points leader coming tonight, it's shown he's the guy to beat, so to say. And right now, he's in a strong position again here to be able to lead some laps, but still going to have to get around this 33, but also got to give Eric Dillingham in the 89 a huge credit. He's driven that 89 up into the top 3, and I'm pretty sure he's come from pretty far back.
Yeah, this 89 machine was all the way in the back half of this lead pack when that wreck happened. And there was a couple of drivers where I was like, well, if a wreck happens up front, they can really gain some position. So Windsor was one of those. Mike Fahey was another driver, as well as Johnny Bobby Brown. Those drivers really expected to gain a lot more as this run tried to progress forward, as you get to see the 06 of Johnny Bobby Brown. I know last week, Zach, you and Robert were having fun. It's always interesting when people have three names, but have Johnny Bobby Brown out there on track, hoping to see if this 06 can gain a little bit more on their positioning and moving forward. But we got to move up to the lead position because Clary is back to where they were comfortable last week at Richmond. The 7 is back up front.
Yeah, went around the outside of that 33. Made him think he was going to go around the inside, made him defend, and got that opportunity to go around the outside. Now is Eric Dillingham here, the 89 right on board. He's going to try his opportunity and maybe try to fight for his second spot. This is looking like right now shaping up to be quite the battle. Is even behind them, Klein and Nees a little bit quicker than this group and who was battling. So we're going to see right now our top 5 only separated by about 1.3 seconds. So it is a close group right here.
As this 89 machine trying to get their best finish of the season. Dillingham, best finish so far was 4th last week at Richmond, but also grabbed a 5th place finish all the way back at Las Vegas and finished 8th at Atlanta. So there is speed underneath this 89 machine when we come to the mile and a half, and hoping to carry that forward. Here's the driver who's running forward. It's Russell Windsor in the 14, ripping the top and staying ahead of Mike Fahey. And you know, 14 got a lot of camera time last week at Richmond, was falling back, trying to gain positions back throughout the evening. Right now, the 14 going to be down 5 spots from where they started, but that is counting where they qualifying position placed them before the EOL that sent this 14 in the back. This has been a great recovery so far for Windsor.
Definitely has. And, you know, last week was a huge beneficiary of that black flag. Got to be in the podium position and got to talk to us. And he even said to me, he said, I'm way more excited about going to Chicagoland next week where I feel like I can perform, and deserve a podium finish if I'm able to pull off. So I think Russell was feeling that, and he's said it right. I mean, he's driven himself always up into the top 5. So great job for him. Is Jordan Maddox right there in the 37 in the 16th position. But this group right here from, of Jordan Maddox from 16th all the way up to the 12th of Paul Boomershine is actually pretty close. So from 12th to 16th, this grouping is all right on top of one another.
Right on top of one another, and this has kind of been the grouping that I've been the most nervous about. I honestly knew that the lead pack had a chance of having their issues, which they did have, but this mid pack, when they were about 15 laps ago, side by side throwing haymakers, now not so much, as we'll be in line for most of this group, all searching for clean air when going through the corners. That's why you're seeing the majority of the drivers scattering to the inside, the outside, trying to find any point of clean air to help that front end through the corner. But I want to say thank you to everyone for joining with us so far. If this is your first time watching with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we enjoy you. We are your home now on Monday nights for the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. Tonight, we're watching the Renwood 263 at Chicagoland. It's just race 6 of the season. This season's going to be a long one of 16 races. And there's no playoffs, there's no chase. It's just a whole season. Who can have the most points? And currently, it's our leader of the race of Colin Flaherty that leads the points. But any type of shakeup could really bring a lot of these drivers back into a championship hunt, with it just being race 6 of the season.
It definitely could. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. And right now, lap 43 to Sam of this 175 laps. I was calculating kind of the strategies that I felt would play out in this race. If you're going to go for the 2-stop strategy, I was saying you're going to need to, at least in my opinion, run the 58 this time and at least 59 one of the other runs. You have to, of course, do 58 another time. But for this right here situation, I think you may see pit roads start to open up for a few of these drivers if they feel like the 2-stop is not available, because for the 3-stop, you're looking at an optimal stop at about 44 here to 45. So anywhere in this range, I think you could see if drivers start pitting, they're going to be looking to do a 3-stop strategy and come to pit road one extra time compared to maybe some of the others who are a little farther back.
when do you decide to make that stop is going to be the question of the evening. As checking out some of the other drivers that are out on track, here is Kenneth Brownburn in the 155. Kind of just in no man's land currently. Brownburn is just lingering in 23rd position and looking for one of their better finishes here tonight. Has ran every race so far this season. Best finish was 13th at Talladega, but you never know. These races can always shake up, especially if somehow a late caution comes out. They gave some drivers some of their best finishes. Want to move back up to the battling for second, third, and fourth because they are going 3 wide. And it's going to be Dillingham, no longer wanting to wait for anybody, rips the bottom, and attack mode is on for the 89. That is a 2-for-1 special as Dillingham try to hold strong in second place now.
Trying to hold that spot like you said, but here comes Chris Klein in the 51, able to drive right to the bottom, clear the 89. He's going to slide up here on the exit. 89 going to have to deal with that late quarter exit dirty air, and he's just going to have to sit here behind the 51. Now takes that second spot back. That's going to slot Harold Crow back to fourth, who now has Mike Fahey coming up from behind here also, along with Russell Windsor. So this grouping is still doing a great job of battling, but it's going to be interesting to see when all these drivers have to pit because it's definitely getting near that time for strategy and play out. But look at this. Crow back to the outside of the 89 after a big run off of 4. That's going to allow Fahey to come into this battle also, as now Chris Klein, I think, liking what he's seeing behind with these drivers battling.
I mean, I gotta say, if you're calling Clairhy in the 7, you're loving these haymakers back and forth, losing time, and just seeing the gap between first and second grow each and every lap. Now also going to be bringing in Russell Windsor in the 14 into the mix. This just went from a 2 to a 3 race battle to now second place is the show spot. Who can grab this position as Klein tries to pull away? Crow looks good on the outside, trying to build up these runs to close in the gap to second, but pit stops continue to loom. I think that's why we're starting to see this aggression mount up. You've got the grip underneath you. You got to use every little bit of it now before you head to pit road.
You're exactly right, Sam. Yeah, no time better now than to use it if you got something left, because it's going to be wasted when you come down here and change the tires. So and this is a perfect time too to allow yourself to build some of those gaps to allow you to save some tire for the next run. You know, you kind of could just baby the car a little bit more if you're able to build gaps on people here, especially in this style of package. It's very much one of those packages where I feel like it's a mental game even more than it's just an overall speed game. So you got to really think things out. As the 89 of Dillingham too hard in the 3 there, up into the outside wall. That's going to go to the spot. Fahey up to 4th. Now you're going to see Russell Windsor, last week's top 30 finisher. He's going to be looking to get into the top 5 as he looks to the outside quarter panel, but the 89 going to close the door here and make a very decisive decision to say you're going to have to go around the bottom.
Go through the bottom, go the toughest way around if you want to hold this position, because the outside is strong currently. Dillingham continues to try to defend, but this pairing of 5 drivers giving us a show here late in the run, 51 laps in, and we still wait who will be the first to hit pit road. Is it too early now, or do you continue to wait on? I know a couple of drivers, they're going to be trying to push it out, and that's going to be the drivers that are back in 12th place. Drew Blaze, you also got to be thinking about the 55 of James DeBose. Those drivers were really backing off. They were saving their fuel to stretch this race long. You're seeing now rewarded with backing off. The tires are now there for the 88, with everyone else that's been struggling. On top of fuel is going to be good for the 88 to watch out for, as drivers over the radio making the call. Pit road is about to get busy for the next couple of laps.
Lap 52, so yeah, definitely not going to be making that 58 mark. That driver's going to need to be doing, as I believe right now. You see the battling for second. Fahey up to the bottom, on the bottom here, up to second, and you can see very quickly the last few laps, it seems like the tires very much fading away from a few of these guys as Windsor driving up here. He slides up into 4th. Now Dillingham trying to fight back into the mix, and also Fahey trying to go past Klein. So while this is all said and done, Colin Clary out in front of him 3/10 quicker than anybody, just running the bottom. He's 3 seconds ahead of him, Sam. He is flying.
Yeah, and Colin Clary, I mean, just hit the rhythm and just continue to stay low, hitting the marks every single lap. While everyone else is going to the outside. They're trying to find ways to build the momentum and speed to make these big passes and runs. Well, the 7 just nonchalantly goes down, runs the bottom through 3 and 4, runs the bottom through 1 and 2, is just hitting a consistent line that's allowing the 7 to hit their marks of pace and also save the tires at the same time. 2 drivers have hit the pit road now. That's going to be David Collins as well as Caden Watts. Watts already is coming out of the pit road while the 707 is just getting service done now. And I really feel like the next 10 laps now is kind of that little bit of a chess match. Is it pitting sooner? Is it finding the middle ground? For the driver that pits the latest, it's kind of the biggest advantage on this next split.
No doubt this is going to be a very critical moment here coming up, but these drivers all situating themselves. It looks like, yeah, going to come to pit road here. Richard Windsor going to lead them down, Harold Crow, and also right ahead of them, it's going to be Chris Klein. So this group of 3 going to come to pit road and get service done on the race cars. We'll see how this works out. When does Colin out front fold? When does he decide to come down? And it's interesting, we're going to be coming out and complete lap 56 here. That means it was very, very close for these drivers to make it. I'm interested to see if anybody else is going to save the fuel to get to that number mark that they need to.
Oh, everyone's searching for it as the 7 stays out for another lap, as well as Fahey. And looking at the drivers that have all come into pit road, we got 15 drivers yet to pit. Eric Dillingham going to be the next one of the fronters, as well as the 97 Austin follows in suit into pit road this lap. And a couple of more further on back following in suit. The 06 of Johnny Bobby Brown heading into pit road. So they'll leave us about 13 to 12 drivers. They continue to stretch it out. I know we got about, I would say, 4 to 6 drivers that were trying to save fuel. Did they save enough to cut the window and turn this race from a 3-stop to a 2-stop?
Well, I tell you, if anything, I'm looking at right now with Colin Clary and Mike Fahey still out here on lap 58 of the run, as Drew Blaze back here in 3rd we're on board with right now. We're talking about him being the one that saved the fuel to make it work. I gotta say, Colin and Mike, they're right on the money also with, 2 pace laps added. Colin's coming this time, I believe. Mike, we'll see if he has to come this time or did he save enough. No, Mike Fahey, he's gonna go around another time. So Fahey being able to go 59 laps and also be within a second or a couple seconds there of Colin, that is huge for the 45s night. And now you're seeing Drew Blaze come down. So I guess it was just a tire saving deal and maybe just trying to stay out of the mix of other drivers, because only going 59 laps here, that was a huge give up in time because his lap times are really good there at the end of the run.
Yeah, I mean, for Drew Blaze, that is a complete throwaway of a run. You just gave up over 8 seconds to have your hope that you gained all back. You never did. And here we go, Mike Fahey into pit road. Will anyone else be able to stretch it even further than this 45? As that following in suit, going to be Boomershine out. No, Boomershine stays out for the 92. He'll go an extra lap. The 55 follows in suit with the 45. So seen a little bit of changing of who decided to make the call for pit road.
Definitely interesting because, with some of these drivers making it a little bit easier to the number than I thought, that made some of these other drivers who pitted, in that 55, 56 range, kind of questionable on their call maybe. So we'll see how this is all going to shake out as Boomershine getting it woed up, and a good job there not to allow that car to push wider than it needed to, and got that thing slowed down for pit road as he'll come to pit road services. Believe, also Grewell is going. Austin Grewell is going to come down, and then it's going to be Chris Klein who's going to transition to the lead. That is a huge shakeup actually, with just a few laps earlier pit.
Also trying to figure out what happened to the 30 machine. Caden Watts is broke. I don't know when their car broke down, but they got a meatball flag, and they currently look to might be calling it an evening for the 30 machine. So they're going back and forth on where they're going, but that is a throwaway race. Now 3 laps down. And we'll see if Caden Watts gets back out on track, who is one of our first drivers to hit pit road. As this pit sequence concludes, it's Chris Klein leading the way over 3 seconds over Russell Windsor, and they both pitted on the same lap. So seeing already the advantage of some drivers knowing how to hit pit road quicker than others.
Definitely. I mean, I look at just even pit road time for the lane. He was pretty much nobody except for two other drivers matched him. I mean, that was the best times we've seen was 38.1. Nobody else was doing any better than that. They were just matching that. And the two drivers behind him, more importantly, of Colin Clary and Russell Windsor, both of those drivers were over half a second, and for Clary's perspective, a second and a half slower on pit lane. So that was a huge difference there. And also Windsor, not only losing that, but he lost 4/10 in his pit stop. So just shows you pit stops and pit lane times can be a huge loss of chunk of time. Chris Klein doing a great job through the cycle.
And I do also want to give a shout out to those that are in the chat that are just showing up. Let's bring up our race report if we're able to. If you're just joining us right now, thank you for being here. We got DadBod.Studios himself and Justin Johnson out there saying, what's up, guys? Has this been a better race? I got to say, compared to last week where there were 14 cautions, which is kind of a low count on Richmond at times, we've had 0 so far. Just finished up our first green flag pit stop cycle of the evening. We're expecting at least 1 to 2 more pit stops for some of the drivers out there on track. We've had quite a few lead changes. We've had duels for the lead spot. Great pack racing all around. Zach, I mean, you're the one that was calling last week. How do you feel like the racing's been so far this evening?
Yeah, I think it's been great. These guys have really been putting on a show, and it's been a mixed bag of drivers who are willing to push kind of early, use up their stuff, and get to the front of the pack, while some others kind of conserve, and then later in the run they kind of pounce. This package is very, very interesting, and it's always fun to watch those races. Last week, of course, we had some great short track battles with long runs. Tonight we've had a really, really long run here with these drivers playing it out in strategy, and we're going to get to see who has called it right. As right now, Klein leading the way by about 2.7 seconds. That is quite a strong margin, and he's done a great job through the pit sequence to get that on.
He certainly has. Here's some of the battling that's going on outside of seeing the drivers trying to get back on the lead lap, I should say. As here's going to be the 3 machine of Chris trying to make the inside lane work, having an advantage of about 5 laps on tires compared to our leader. Expecting to see the 3 blast on by and make this pass, but I gotta say, I think this pit cycle kind of gives us a clear picture of who feels a lot more comfortable on a pit sequence. I know pit road, entry, exit, even going through pit road, that is a skill set, let alone on its own, compared to being on track. We're already seeing the differences being shown there as Chris in the 3 gets on by, going to get a lap back. Also going to be seeing the 16 of Idaluca, who was caught up in our 1 incident so far here tonight that didn't bring out a caution. But the 24, who was heavily involved with that wreck, going to be still 1 lap down, and it's going to be a while before we see that 24 potentially get back on the lead lap, if we even see that happen.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to need some definite help there for that sake, of course. But it's been somewhat clean, but a few bumps and bruises for a few drivers out there, of course. We had, of course, Caden Watts. He's 3 laps down. He is back out there on the track in the 30. I did find Sam where he did get into the wall off of 4, so he had a huge collision with the wall in 4, and it was one of the bigger ones. So I think he had some required damage there to fix for a little bit on that right front, and I think they got it back fixed, got back out there in the 30, and is now making laps around the racetrack.
It's one of the things that we're just happy about. If you're able to get the damage fixed and back it on track, there is that bonus point of finishing the race. Now it's 2 bonus points for yourself, so it keeps the incentive. You gotta stay out there, fight. Even though it's been a bad night, you gotta make it to the end. As getting a sense of what the 7 machine of Colin Clary's been driving. This is the one driver who made the inside lane work all the way through that first run. Only maybe ran the outside lane a couple of times just to make impactful quick passes. But Zach, what are you seeing right now as we've been riding on board the 7 that's maybe making his laps look quicker than some of the competition around him?
He's just being very consistent, Sam. That's the one thing I've watched with the 7 is right at the bottom, very efficient with the line, no over movements of the wheel. You see right here, you see a little bit of a little wiggle there on entry, but gets to the bottom and doesn't really turn the wheel more. You never want to see that wheel after the first initial turn, in my opinion, go farther, because if you're turning it more, that means the car's just not turning and you're pushing up the racetrack, and that means you're overheating your stuff. And in iRacing, the key to tire management, it's not even really the wear of the tire. It's all about the tire temperature and keeping that surface temperature of the tire in check, because if you let that thing get out of check, you will definitely run away with a rampant handling issues. So great job by Colin to really hit his marks, but it's Chris Klein out front right now for the time being, but the lap times between them a little bit quicker from the 7. We'll see when he gets there, does he still have that same pace?
As this pack of drivers is finally able to get by our leader, which for Chris Klein, you got to think, okay, they're past me. That's good. The problem is that whole entire time that this pack of lap drivers that got back onto the lead lap got by you, the 7 reeled you in. It's now down to 1.3 at one moment. It was up to 3 seconds being the difference, and now has been cut dramatically in half on that gap. And as this run continues on, based on how we've been seeing the 51 race here, you might catch up to this pack that just got him in a handful of laps. So the job's not completely over just yet. One of the drivers that lost a lot of time on pit entry and hopefully gain some of it back, 89 of Eric Dillingham. And this driver also looked very quick at the end of that first initial run. Where will the pace be now as everyone's starting to space out from one another?
See how these drivers elect to go through here, but it's right now a situation where you just got to really keep putting the laps down and just try to be consistent. You see also Don Francesco earlier, that incident, one lap down there right in this grouping 2 of these top drivers. So we'll see if Dillingham can get back up there. Mees also kind of fell off in that 97 at the end of the last run, so we'll see if the 97 can kind of hold on a little better here for this next run.
Well, currently 21 drivers are on the lead. Lap 3 are a lap down. 2 are just 1 lap down. You're seeing the pack racing going on here for 12th as well. See some other drivers at the top of this battle that are a lap down, going back and forth. It's the 9, though, of Alex Duchesne, who's going to be the driver in this action. The 9 starting on the front row with all the EOLs. Still trying to find a footing on this track. It's been a rough one, but battle for the lead is underway, and in a blink of an eye, it's over. Clary has made the pass so fast and is already 3/10 ahead.
Wow. Yeah, I literally looked away for a second to check on another driver. He was behind him, and then he was ahead of him. Yeah, that was before a blink of an eye. Klein's trying to fight back here a little bit, but Clary just so much speed, able to really just roll that bottom so well, get the pass done, and now going to be going by the 37 here and trying to put that 37 car a lap down here as Maddox goes up the racetrack.
All the work that you just put in to get yourself onto the lead lap, throw it away. Clary is on the move to put this whole entire pack of lap down again. Well, with that being over and done, we're actually going to move back to that battling that was going on for 10th and 11th. That was incredible. I mean, 11th, 12th, and 13th. They are still side by side, packed against one another, and seeing the 21 of Corbin in that Red Bull machine, just watching the chaos. Do you want to go high? Do you want to go low? This is the biggest pack so far on track, and they're not giving a lot of space to one another.
No, they are not. They are definitely all going at it right now as they're right on board with the 21 right. He's right behind that 9, and this grouping is definitely putting on the most show right now of anybody on the track. And you got also the likes of the 30 of Caden Watts up there. He's 4 laps down, so he's right in the middle mix of this group with Paul Boomershine, also David Collins. So really from 11th on back to 14th, you got a lap car involved, but these guys are doing battle like this is for the lead, but this is some great racing.
Back and forth. Also, if you're just joining us, those sparks, that has been happening all night long. It's the right height of the cars. A little bit of sparking action, but it is not hurting the speed at all, as everyone's still attacking each and every time. It's interesting to watch the drivers in the middle of this pack, the way that they are all about the entry, not setting up the exit of the corner, as well as the front half of the pack. The top 10 are really all trying to set up off the exit of the corner. Seeing that difference of mentality already here in just the 2 points of the track position you're in on this course right now.
Definitely is all the 9, a little wiggle there from Alex, and gathers it back up. So big slide. We see a few times that 9 have a few nervous moments tonight. So Alex Duchesne really hanging on to that machine there as we check back up here to a leader, Colin Clary. He's looking to put these drivers a lap down. This is Tony Idaluca here, the 3 of Chris Lawless, and also Austin Royal. So the 7 right here in the mix. We saw the 16. He was involved in that incident earlier that he got caught up in. He was having a great run of Idaluca there. unfortunately, he got kind of caught back in that. As now, you see on board from the 7th machine, he sees clear air ahead of him, but he's got to get by this grouping of lap cars if he wants to keep going forward. I'll tell you one thing, his gap is going to be quite sizable here when this is all said and done.
Yeah, this is a Colin Clerkey race, unless a caution comes out or a major mistake happens for the 7. He is building the gap and trying to continue on. Also, while we were right on board 7, one of the few times we've seen so far here tonight, drivers willing to go down to the apron on the front stretch. That is free game. You can go down there. It can cut the distance, help you gain speed, and maybe even get a nose ahead on your competition or even complete a full pass. But you got to be careful not to be doing that too often, because that's using up more of your rubber.
Definitely. So, yeah, you don't want to use up the rubber, too. We've seen a lot of drivers, they got to that 40-lap mark, 30-lap mark, and it was really a struggle for them. So we're starting to get in that range again. You can't overwork those tires and put yourself in a situation where you're struggling late before a pit stop. It's one of the worst feelings to have that, as Colin going to dive it again here to the bottom for the 16. But the problem for Clary is, you know, he's working the bottom here, running good, but as soon as he has these drivers on the outside of him, it slows him down the straightaway, and he loses the draft that they all have lined up on the top. So you'll see this time slides up to the top, and he's going to look to go around him this time around the right side.
Working the top, building the speed, and this is exactly how the 7 was able to run down Chris Klein so quickly. He was utilizing the outside of 1 and 2, just building these massive runs, able to run down the 51. Here's going to be a look at third place runner. This is Russell Windsor, which Windsor, again, looking at the differences, currently in the back down 2 positions from where he qualified, but started this race with an EOL, had to go to the end of the line. This has been a great recovery run overall, but the saddest story of the night, the driver of the 24, Nicholas Denafranco, driver who thought was maybe going to be a threat for this win, got into the wall that one time, went for his slide, and now is trapped 1 lap down, just watching his competition race for the win.
That's always a tough situation, but got to go out here, complete the laps, get the points in the books, and do what you can to salvage something at least out of the night, because like you said, even finishing the race, you get a bonus point. So got to go out there and try to do something with your night here. So to say is Windsor right now trying to get around that 24, but just kind of stuck at the moment with him about 6 seconds off that leader of Colin. He's also about a second and a half ahead of Austin Mees. So right now, Russell Windsor kind of in no man's land along with Chris Klein. So they're all kind of separately spaced out about 3 seconds in between our top 3.
There's a couple of packs that are racing back and forth, as I'm seeing right here. This is going to be the 89 of Eric Dillingham, trying to catch up to Harold Crow. Crow's trying to catch up to Meese, who's just running there in 4th position. A couple of other battles that are happening on track. Here's the battle for 9th place of the 06 of Johnny Bobby Brown, Jacob Booth, as well as the 92. Just watching from afar of the battling of the 06 and the 19 that are just throwing a little bit of haymakers. We are now 30 laps into this run for some drivers. Around 31 to about 27 lap old tires is the difference between the whole entire field. And this is around the time that we're seeing, hey, if you didn't protect your tires, you were going to have trouble. And there's trouble for the 06. Up to the outside wall. Booth taps the back off. And it's Boomer Shine taking the advantage on the inside.
A 2-for-1 deal for Paul there. He's going to take that and slide him up to 9th. I think we saw Johnny Bobby Brown flirt with disaster up against that outside wall. Jacob D. Booth, we saw him tonight. He's had a few moments with the wall even, so he knows exactly how fast that can happen for him. So he is trying not to make sure to get that 06. That checked him up, allowed the 92 buys. We check in here to this next group is the 707 of David Collins around the outside. Alex Duchesne, this is for the 13th spot, as you also got the 21 there, Corbin Wright, not so far ahead, who's trying to pull away from this group, and we saw at one point all racing.
Yeah, Reich has been patiently waiting for the tires to hit the mark where he can finally take off and utilize that saved rubber, and was able to get by the 707 and as well the 9. Seeing the 9 just flirting with disaster themselves. It is going wild so far. I'm getting nervous for if we're going to see issues, because a lot of these drivers are inching closer and closer to that outside wall. And Zach, we talked about the beginning of this race on the rubber, how that could be a factor to watch out for. I'm curious if any of that might be messing with the drivers on the outside, just riding up there where the marbles are.
Very well could, Sam, because the very, very, very outside there, we haven't seen really too much utilized tonight. It's really been the lanes directly right below it, and that can be a buildup of marbles up there, especially as this race goes on. I mean, you can see the bottom; it is just very much rubbered in right around that seam. So it is definitely taking rubber, so to say. And when you take rubber, it's also going to cause the marbles to show up too. So definitely a situation where you get a little too high up in that gray stuff into the loose dirt, you're going to get up into that wall. So a lot of these drivers, I think, filling it all out, so to say, when it comes to that, is Ken Couch here in the 08 machine right now, trying to stay ahead of James Dubose right here, as these are the two right directly ahead of our leader, of Colin Clary, who's about, I'd say, 2 seconds right behind this group. So it is very much an important battle between these two as they're trying to stay in front of our leader.
Trying to stay ahead of our leader, trying not to go a lap down. And as all these drivers are inching closer and closer to pit stops, we will step away. You've been watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series Season 1 for this group that are running the Gen6 car. Race 6 underway here for the Renwood 263 at Chicagoland. It's been a good one. When we come back, these drivers get ready for their second pit stop. Who can push it farther? Who's making their final stop of the night? We'll find out when we come back as we go side by side. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. It's race number 6 of 16 underway, and a couple of drivers over the radio making the call. Pit Road is calling their name. Also starting to see a little bit more battling between one another. Some of the battling up front, some of the middle. Big one is for third. You're watching currently on screen the battling for 5th place, as seen a couple going back and forth. Here's now the battle that's happening for 3rd place. That's going to be seen the 14 of Russell Windsor, as well as Austin in the 97. Back and forth with the lap car of the 24 right in the mix. This kind of giving a little bit of deja vu, what we were feeling back about around lap 20 of the race. The 24 trying to find an opening to get by some of the competition around him.
He is trying to find his way around here, but 97-14 also doing a good battle, so it's kind of closed up that window to get around them. But it's getting interesting too, you know, with the way the strategies, with the way the laps are playing out here. I would think what you're going to most likely see here is you're going to see pit stops around 118 to 119 for the drivers who are trying to make it on that 2-stop strategy. And the drivers on the 3-stop, it's going to be interesting to see where they stop here, Sam. I'm very interested because I know a few drivers stopped a little bit earlier than a few others. Will they have the fuel to stretch it out this run a little bit better because they have 2 pace laps? I mean, that doesn't take away too much fuel, but it definitely is something to add to the tank. So we'll see how far fuel can stretch it this time, but I think for majority, we should see at least 5 to 6, 7 drivers be able to make that 2-stop strategy work, because right now I said that some other drivers just have pit road this time.
That's going to be Jordan Maddox as well entering pit road. Going to be the 33 of Harold Crow, who was part of that battle, going on for 5th place. The driver that pitted the soonest of all drivers, 707, David Collins, who will be out there and see what speed's left. There's 33 getting service done, 4 tires and fuel. A couple of other drivers, they got to be thinking, okay, we pitted about 50 laps ago. How much further do we want to go? Can we stretch it far enough to where this is a 1-stop? Because everyone that's pitting right now, they can't make it. We didn't see anyone make it 60 laps on fuel, and that's going to be the question, I think, for a lot of the field. When do you want to make that final stop? And did, for some of these drivers, give up too much? Because I feel like that's where the 88 of Drew Blaze might be sitting. I gave up way too much time thinking that the competition ahead of me can't make it, even though a few of them can.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I would say where you really want to get to is like 117 for some of these guys. So if they can stretch it to there, I think they'll feel much more better about it. They'll only have to go 58 laps, so to say, on the last run, and that would make things a lot closer. But I'm interested for the drivers likes of like Chris Klein, Russell Windsor, because we saw the likes of Fahey there. We were just checking out in 5th. He actually stayed out the longest anybody's. He went 60 laps of that front group. So Fahey should be in the best position anybody to make it. So I'm just interested if the drivers like 2nd, 3rd, 4th here, what is going to be their situation when it comes here? Are they going to be a little bit close? Are they going to have that last run to stretch a little bit more and save a little bit and give up some time? There's definitely going to be questions to be answered here, I think, in the next 5 to 6 laps.
97, Boston hit by Windsor and not coming into pit road just yet. Continues to stay out. Only 3 drivers have made a pit stop so far. That's Harold Crow, David Collins, and also Jordan Maddox. You know, it's only our 2nd time covering the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. This is your new home here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting Monday nights. If you haven't already subscribed, we'd love if you subscribe and hit that bell notification button to be notified when we go live here on Monday nights, giving you the coverage here. Or if you missed out on watching us live, to have a chance to watch us later on. More drivers heading to pit road. That's going to be the 9 Machine of Alex getting service done for themselves. But Zach, it's kind of crazy. New era of Freaky Fast Broadcasting. This is a new series for us as we've kind of concluded all the OG leagues that we ran before and have called here on Freaky Fast. So it's kind of nice to see new drivers we've never called, new people out in the chat. It's always fun to get a little bit of a refresher going on in a series.
No doubt, yeah, this is great. I mean, you know, it's always fun when you're learning new names, I'd say, you know. That is always a fun time for us, you know, getting the butcher these guys' names. They get some good clips to show their friends and be like, look at this guy, how he said my name. Can you believe that? And then we look back on it, and the next thing you know, friendships are built, long-lasting memories are built here. So this is great to see a new league coming on for us here in 2nd race, and it's already had some great results so far. And, hey, they're having one of their better races right now as you look. Chris Klein on pit road. This is lap 114 right here, Sam. You know, and that's starting 114, so he only went to 113 there. That, in my books, is at least 3 to 4 laps short. I do not see the likes of Klein being able to save that unless he gives up major amounts of time. Look at Bees, the next lap around 114, completely coming on to 115. So getting closer for a few of these other drivers, but it's going to be a stretch for others.
And Eric Dillingham, he's the next driver on my notes to watch out. He might be hitting pit road here, as a lot of guys, when they are concluding lap 58 on a stint, going into 59 on a run, is usually when they're heading into pit road. For the 89, no call over the radio that he was going to make the pits. He actually is forced 3 wide, and Dillingham got to be passed by Drew Blaze. Blaze, with this lower pace, and with everyone missing out on their chances, maybe stretch the fuel out, this 88 might be about 12. Oh no, caution! Trouble strikes for Mike, as that is gonna be seeing Fahey caught up with an incident trying to get around a lap vehicle, and trouble looms, and this resets everything.
This is such an unfortunate situation right here. You're gonna see right here on the exit of the corner, Fahey exiting very well, giving the room, but the 30 of Watts up almost into the wall, pushes tight, and when you push tight, you put wheel into the race car to stay out of that wall. Well, that was too much wheel, because he came down the racetrack at that point into the 45, hooks him in the right rear, and that is going to be our 2nd place man head first into the wall. And if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure last week he got taken out by a similar situation of a lap car kind of coming down and clipping him. So that is so tough for the 45, who was in such a good position when it came to fuel already.
I was in a good position for fuel, looks quick. Mike Fahey, this was not the night that he wanted. And yeah, I'm thinking back to that race. I rewatched that earlier. I believe that was the netcode wrecked out on the backstretch last week at Richmond. This one isn't netcode, just the 30 never straightened out the wheel, and collecting the lead lap driver Gotta hate that for Caden, who was about 4 laps down at the time of contact, and his night could be over. Another driver in pit road, which I don't know why I'm giving this flag. Required damage for the 88 of Drew Blaze.
Oh, it's got major left and right side.
So we'll take another look at this. Did he get collected? Trying to get around.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness!
Oh, and then Dillingham. Or no?
I don't know what happened there. Just lack of awareness. I mean, the wreck happens.
It's right here. He's gonna go low and
it just continues to.
I
just never slow down.
Guard. Yeah, I think he just caught him off guard with how slow everything was slowing up there. I guess he thought it was all up high and missed that green car there. And man, just like that, our winner from last week, he's out.
Winner from last week, second in points. Now going to be out of this thing. And this could shake up everything for the point standings. You get our one to go. If you'd like to be the sponsor of our one to go, message us here on Freaky Fast on all of our socials. Just Freaky Fast over on X, and easy to hit us up on Facebook. Just look up Freaky Fast Broadcasting if you'd like to take any of these sponsored spots that we have on our graphics. As the one to go is whenever they cross the line, lights click off on the base car, and we're about to go green. Black flag also going to be given out to the 85 of Alan Swan, who looked to speed out of pit road or might have passed someone under yellow. So he'll be going to the end of the line as everyone else trying to figure out where the right place to be. And this is getting a little bit of deja vu of last week at the end of Richmond, where people just don't know where they're supposed to be setting up for this restart.
Yeah, this is I think it's jumbled up so much because of the way this was with lead lap cars and non-lead lap cars. Everybody's like, where do I line up? And even after it's all said and done, Fahey, the 45, who was involved in that wreck and got pretty damaged up and all that, he still got some decent damage. He's going to restart fifth. I think we're going to extend it. Yeah, we're going to extend this here. So good call, I think, to extend this because a lot of people are still getting caught up.
Yeah, certainly. Gotta get everyone in the right position. There's your one to go again. As people are curious, why was there a delayed green? Well, we're trying to get everyone in the right position. As now another black flag is going to be given to a driver, and that's Austin Gruwell, who goes flying through the pits trying to get into his box to top off on fuel. As I think everyone that wasn't good on fuel, now you should be if you were able to get in the pits and you're on the lead lap, which I think that's the big positive for drivers. You're on the lead lap. Let's take this advantage.
Yeah, take every advantage you can for sure for that, and we'll see how this all shakes out. I mean, fuel-wise, I think we're all good to go. Nobody should have too many worries here for anything with that, but we'll see how this all shakes out. Eric Dillingham, I think he's a driver that kind of, won out in this situation a little bit here. He's going to be restarting on the front row. Corbin Reich right there in third. Paul Boomershine up into the top five. So some newcomers into the top five here with this yellow.
Well, if maybe you stepped away because it was clean and green. It looked like this race was done. Get yourself sharing the stream again because chaos is about to reign. Green flag is out for the Renwood 263 here at Chicagoland. You've got yourself 11 drivers on the lead lap. Going to be now just 10 with Gruwell into the pit road to serve a penalty, but it's all Colin Clare Heat pulling away from the rest of the field. Old tires, new tires, and we're already 3 wide off the exit turn 2.
Fahey through the middle of the 45 trying to make something happen there. He's going to go up to fourth as Corbin going to drop back to fifth as immediately Klein in the 51's trying to climb his way back up there and get in the mix. He had to start farther back here after taking the wave around. Going to also be on an older set of tires here. Not too many laps, but at least a little bit older here. That's going to make things situated a little different, but the 3 wide action here is the 707, the 51 and 19 breaks off the 2.
Everyone's trying to get their positioning. You don't want to lose touch the 7, who's already 2.5 seconds ahead of this pack that we're watching in the middle. on the inside. It's Maddox trying to make the run, but you're seeing the difference on tires. Those that feel comfortable and those that are still trying to find grip, they're all over the place. Contact back and forth on the straightaway. Luckily, everyone's still pointing in the right direction, but it is looking like we are getting ready for the Destruction Derby because drivers are antsy and they want to make big moves now.
That they do. Everybody making big things happen. As I think the 707 up there into the outside wall. Slide David Collins back to 19th, but everybody else in front of him looking to take spots, looking to dive on the next driver ahead of him. And it was almost a major incident there off of 4 last time, but everybody navigated it well and kept it together.
DeBose really into the outside wall. He had to face and go backwards. McCline trying to work the outside groove, utilize these tires at this current moment. Booth getting close into the wall, though. It's going to be Sam Brown. Big wiggle all around as the 3 also gets a little hectic. Small tap from Klein to Booth as they're trying to find speed to move forward, but this is chaotic with the old tires and the new. Can you find the spacing as the 06 trying to get to the outside of the lap machine?
Johnny Bobby Brown, you can see the run he had off of 4 there from that view he had. It was wild. And now gets in the quarter panel. Chris Lawless, who was in that backpack starting the race right now. It would have pushed a little bit harder this run and stay right in the mix. This is that battle for 14th. This is going to be Bobby Brown who's going to go around the outside, but you can see behind him that grouping was still racing pretty hard as you got Booth and Klein there racing for position. And what's interesting is some of these guys are a lap down, fighting for to get up to a lucky dog position possibly, while the others are like Klein is a top 5 car but stuck back here in the mix.
Oh, trouble for the lucky dog position. The 16, it's Idaluca getting sideways in front of the field. Idaluca was trying to give the bumper to the 24, but it backfires. Now he's into the grass, and now going to be seeing a chance for a change of guard. The 24 goes high, and it's Johnny Bobby Brown opening to the inside groove. New lucky dog position award winner could be the 06. That's if we get a caution.
That was a great job by Johnny Bobby Brown, but it's weak up. John Francesco on the outside trying to fight back. This 24's had a lot of fight all night. He's got caught up in a few moments. Had his moment off of 2 there into the outside wall of him in the 19. That really caught both him and Jacob Booth out. And guess what? Add Jacob Booth to the picture too, because guess what? He's right here on the outside of Johnny Bobby Brown. And this battle for the lucky dog is on fire.
It's on fire, but also what we're starting to see is a little bit of creeping up action for the lead. Colin Clary, you are not free just yet. Drivers that were around that caution are now in the fight. Eric Dillingham as well as Fahey, and also bring in the 92 of Boomershine. They're in the mix now. It's a 4-horse battle for the lead, but right when I say that, they get side by side for second, and they lose touch to the leader again.
That they do lost a little bit of touch there as they're battling. Dillingham here trying to put every last move he can here to hold back this 45. Also the 92 of Boomershine. But all these drivers trying to, stay in touch of the 7, but this battling definitely might not help that, as now the 45 a little bit tight off of 2. That allows Boomershine to get into the inside, but he's going to slide back in behind this 45 and not elect to race here for the time being, as they're trying to stay within the gap. But you can see right there, it was Dillingham closing in the gap in.
Dillingham with another fantastic launch off the exit of the corner as Fahey going to fall back in line now with allowing Boomershine in 3rd place. And all these attempts, big moves back and forth. These drivers know this is your critical moment. With the timing of that caution, majority of the field is good to make it to the end on fuel. There's a few drivers that are going to be questionable because they took the wave around instead of pitting. I think that's going to be the question of, are you good? Can you make it? And one of those being the 33 of Harold Crow, who actually pitted sooner than a lot of drivers during that green flag run. He's the first driver on the lead lap, but might need a caution to get back into this fight.
You're exactly right, Sid. Harold Crow was the one who definitely pitted the earliest. And I think even with the yellow flag, the case of making it to the end of this race is still, I think, a little bit out of the question for him. So I think he might need a yellow flag, or at some point we will have to see that 33 hit pit road. But look at this group. Not saying a yellow flag is going to happen, but you can see how, wild it can get here with these cars. They can very easily here when it push comes to shove, so to say, here at these races, it's going to be very easy for a contact to be made and we get that yellow flag.
I mean, you got lead lap drivers, lap down drivers, all just bickering for position and into the outside wall. That's going to be the 19 of get hard contact. Don't want to be up there for Booth. It's another slapper that he's been having off the exit of turn 2. Still keeping in touch, though, with his lead pack. Might have been a little bit of a visual glitch on him showing contact, but actually didn't. But here we go. I mean, if you're Chris Klein, this has got to be so frustrating. You're stuck with the drivers that are battling to try to get to the lucky duck spot while you're just watching the lead 4 pull away each and every lap.
Can't really do anything about it, because even if he passes these guys, they're going to be right in his draft. Not even probably really be able to pull away from these drivers. So this is a tough situation if you're Klein. You're going to just really hope that something reset is really in this race, which is a yellow flag. So he's going to have to be hoping for one of those. Is up ahead of him. Don Francesco, the leader of the lap down cars, is kind of pulling away. But also the thing he can benefit, Fahey starting to fall back here in that 4th spot to him. And I think that right side damage on that car is starting to show up. It's just so tough to keep, that car wound up, and when it doesn't have all that downforce, it definitely uses those tires up as we check back in with our top 3 drivers.
Top 3 trying to keep it close, keeping this battle and trying to stay ahead. Still now that the gap is up to over 4.5 seconds from our leader back to Fahey, who is just now being passed by Chris Klein. I hate to see that for the 45. An incredible run, but caught up with the wreck with the lap car, and now just is watching this top 3 fall away, and now just gonna have hope for a top 5. Our top 3 currently, it's Clary, Dillingham, Boomershine, right on top of one another. Here's where the other 2 drivers run as well as Chris Klein now into 4th place. Fahey has fallen outside of the top 5 and is currently heading into pit road. You can move up. That is Corbin Reich, who's going to be now in that 5th place position. The 21 Red Bull machine. I mean, Zach, earlier in this race, I was concerned if he was even going to be able to be inside of the top 10, be challenging there, because of the way that 21 was looking on grip and handling. And right now, a top 5 is looming for the 21.
That it is. And also, I mean, you got the likes of Austin Mees the whole behind, so it's not like he's got, too many drivers on this lead lap to hold back. So the 21 in a good spot to bring him a very good finish here tonight. But never know, could be in that top 5, but it's going to be Austin Mees trying to take that top 5 away from him in the 97, who's had a really good start to his season and trying to continue that run.
Mees, who comes in 3rd in points. This is a big gain that could boost him into 2nd in points. And if you can see Colin Clare, he have a trouble, maybe even a challenge, get even closer for 1st place in points exiting tonight. But Colin looks to be too strong, so if you're Mees, you have to take every position and move forward. Corbin Reich, though, again, at least the top 5. Top 10 isn't bad. Best finish, I should say, for the 21 was 7th back at Auto Club. So best finish of the season so far, still on the docket for this 21 machine as they run low, and it's kind of just letting the rest of the pack find their space as they get back in line. A little bit of a hold your breath moments there for the last 10 laps. Well, everyone's starting to give space for now, but we'll move back up to the top 3 because the battle for 2nd, it's Boomershine now trying to move into 2nd.
Look at this, the 92 hasn't been in the mix all night long, was mired outside the top 10 at some point. Now battling for a top 3 and looking to move into 2nd maybe and go fight for a win. What a night it would be for the 92 right now to end up this way, but another run back at the 89 here down the front straightaway, and you can see these top 3. I mean, it's 5 seconds back decline. This is setting up to where if it goes green, Dillingham and Boomershine both in position. Even if they can't get past that 7 who's been dominant tonight at Holland, they are setting up themselves for a podium position, and I'm sure both of them would leave with a huge smile on their face in that position.
And if you're Paul Boomershine, I mean, you've had a kind of a boomer bust run in these first 5 races. Started off at Auto Club with a 4th place finish. Then you went on a streak of finishing 24th, 27th, then got another top 5 at Atlanta in 9th place. And then last week finishing outside of the top 20. Here tonight, a chance for his best finish of the season. St. Dillingham scrubbed the wall and a pass made up to 2nd place. The 92. Best finish again was 4th, already on track for another better finish.
What a move there. Yeah, Dillingham a little too high up into the wall. Boomershine sees the opportunity, goes around, and Now we check back here. This is the battling for our other top spots, and it was Austin Mees who makes the pass on the 51 here. Klein, who's going to fight back onto the right rear quarter panel, and now you're also going to have the 21 here, Corbin, right in the mix too. So this grouping is all racing for 4th, 5th, and 6th. So this is some great battling. We got mired on back here, and Klein, I think, is going to be in an interesting spot because pitted a little bit early, but I think with that yellow flag, he is going to be in a situation where fuel might be in the doable range still.
Yeah, I think with those pace laps, much doable. I mean, you're coasting, clutching up, maybe even shutting off the engine during those laps. Able to save just a lot more fuel than if we were staying green and just pacing around. Just going around at normal rates. But right now, the 51, keeping it close. I think also what's hurting Klein is the tires. You got to think with the advantage to Riker, who's got a few lap better tires. The 21's going to try to bounce later in this run. Might see an opportunity right now with the 97 and the 51 setting up to go back and forth as Riker goes to the inside quarter panel, just not close enough.
Yeah, just not, like you said, close enough, but still right there in the mix, and plenty of time still to go here in this race as they're going to be coming by this next time to complete 144. So it's still getting down to that clutch point where you got to start to feel things out. But we seen in that first run, it was really that last 20 laps where the tires really started to show their lives and other drivers started to show their upper hand on their tire life. So I'm interested to see once we get, here in this range with, 30 to go, it's going to be pretty much time for these drivers to have these tires in a good range because the wear is going to start to kick in.
And it looks like officially we can call it 3 racers out of this race as Drew Blaze caught up in that wreck as an innocent victim has been in pit road, blown it. Looks to be still with required damage. Officially out of this race is going to be Caden Watts as well as Mike Fahey. And now has been in pit road for over 1 minute and 40 seconds is Kenneth Blackburn, leaving us with 20 drivers out on track. And with the time into the yellow, and with everyone having their chance to go into pit road, get service done, some had penalties, had to go back into pit road. Only 9 drivers are on the lead lap. The current driver that's leading the way 1 lap down, and if there's a caution and they're not involved, it would be the 24 that would get that lucky dog spot.
And that'd be huge because I'll tell you what, the 24, he's been one of the quicker drivers tonight when it comes to, just his pace. At one point was right there battling with Klein. He's about a second and a half up the road from some of that 4th, 5th place cars that we've had tonight. So that 24 would be a factor, I think, for a top 5 possibly. So if we were to get a caution and get him back on the lead lap, these drivers would definitely have to watch out because it would be interesting. But I tell you what, that battle is still raging on for that 4th, 5th, and 6th spot because Klein, Reich, and Mees all right here on top of each other. They also had the lap car and the 3 along us, so that was kind of making things a little mixed up there for a second.
Yeah, almost gave a chance for Reich to go for a pass. Instead, the 21 continues to just fall in line and follow in suit as the laps slowly tick away. That caution that came out, the only one so far, shook up as we were in the middle of a pit cycle. It's Colin Clairhy who still leads the way. But the 33 getting a little bit loud over the radio. Saw a little bit of puff of smoke as it looks like some drivers are getting at it in off the exit turn number 2. But here's your race report. 1 caution, 8 lead changes, and certainly a lot of green flag racing, which I know for the league, they're happy to see after last week's running at Richmond. It's always nice when you have a caution-filled race. It's at a short track to come to 1.5 miles, sometimes even the 2-mile courses, and just get that out of your system of all those yellows. Oh, no
doubt. Yeah, it definitely could feel a lot better doing that. But I tell you what, when you have the 550 package like we do here at these cars, we got to give everybody a huge round of applause here because, they're right on top of each other for majority of the run here in these cars. And that's normally when you see some issues. So I got to give everybody a great job they've done here tonight to keep it pretty much clean and green for majority of the time. Now we'll see, of course, if we get there and continue that as the 9 of Duchesne up into the wall. We're going to lose time there to that 33 of Harold Crow, which, of course, Crow in the 9th position, Duchesne in 14th, 1 lap down, not 4th position, but still very much losing a little bit of time out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, we're seeing Pro trying to get to the outside, make some pressure moving forward. Speed on moving forward. Watching some of the battling for 7th, 8th, and 9th. They're trying to find a way to get around the lap car of the 06. So Johnny Bobby Brown as the 14 of Windsor. I mean, at what moment during this run was looking like an absolute top 3 finish was in the cards for this Mobile 114, but with the time of the cautions, with having to take the wave around, it's not the case. Now it's just survival of what positions can you grab. And Alan Swan, on the other hand, taking full advantage of the fact of that time into the caution, 85 up to 7th.
Yeah, really did take advantage of that is Alan Swan. So that was a great job. Same for the 21. There's a couple of drivers who really took advantage of that yellow flag. And I tell you what, another one who really did, that's, in my opinion, impressing me very much right now is Paul Boomershine. He's in second, Sam, and he is all over the back of Colin. I kind of suspected Colin to, at some point here, 20 laps to go, 15 to go, really start to stretch his legs. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think that Paul is here to stay because just watching the lines, watching everything, he's very consistent with it. He's staying right there nice and low, not allowing that car to push the nose, and giving Colin some different looks even down the front straightaway to make him think and look in that mirror. So this race is very much not over. Paul Boomershine looking to make a statement here tonight at Chicagoland.
I mean, the thing is you can follow what the leader's line is, but to make the pass, you got to try something a little bit different. We've already seen the battle for the lucky dog spot. Some drivers willing to give the bumper. It's not a traditional thing to see at a 1.5 miles is to give the chrome horn to the driver ahead of you, but I'm curious for Boomershine. What are you willing to do for victory here? Still a lot of time to be utilized in for the first time here in a while. It's the 7. Clary's going high, giving Boomershine a chance to get to the quarter panel. Try to utilize a little bit of side draft, but the run too strong for the 7. He's trying to mount a little bit of a bigger gap to work with.
That is the 7 trying to fight everything off with every power he's got because he knows last week was in position there late to win that with a great strategy call. Didn't get it done after a black flag. Wants to redeem himself tonight, but Paul Boomershine, he wants to take that opportunity to get his first win of the season and not allow the 7 to get that 3rd win and just build more and more momentum. 92 definitely putting the run to him, but just not able to get close enough yet to get to that inside or outside.
Officially out of this race as well, going to be Kenneth Blackburn into pit road, getting the service done, but might be calling it or an evening as well. Going to be Tony Idaluca. And for you that are watching out there and have the ability to chat, we've got ourselves less than 20 laps to go. Is this race over, or do you think we still got a caution in the backs? Or can we continue to race on? Do want to say I misspoke. It looks like Idaluca not done just yet. Got a little bit of repairs done. Got some fresh rubber. The 16 is back out there on track, but the battle for the lead, 2/10. It's going back and forth. Less close. You got to stay away from that outside wall, though, if you're the 92.
That you do, especially when you're that close to the 7. The aero wash is going to be terrible. So everything you do, you got to be a little bit careful because it's going to be more exaggerated, especially you see here, running the low line. You're good. Then you slide up into that dirty air. You got to be prepared. Once you slide up on exit into that dirty air, you can quickly lose that nose in the last, 5% of the corner. And next thing you know, you got major right side damage. And you've seen already a few drivers that hit the wall pretty hard earlier. The damage can really add up if you get it on those front fenders bad and you lose downforce quickly.
Speaking about maybe into the wall too many times, the 19 of Jacob D. Booth now into pit road to get service done. Starting to see some drivers that took the wave around. Some were trying to see if they could stretch the fuel out a little bit more. Already seen signs. Maybe we can't make it. Let's stay out there as long as we can get service done and then just grab what we can. As here's the battling currently going on for 4th place. The 97, the 51, and the lap down driver, the 24, getting involved in some heavy racing action. I know for the admins, they would hope that the lap down driver wouldn't get involved with the lead lap driver's battles, but if you're so much faster than them, why not take the chance to get by?
Definitely got to take that chance for sure. And Don Francesco here behind him, the lap down car there, our leader of the lap down cars, definitely fallen off a lot here in the last few laps. He's definitely starting to lose a little bit of pace to those tires, and we've seen Klein and Mies both drive up and pass him. So right now that 24, a little bit of struggle. Same for Corbin, who's lost the group here up to the front of him. So Corbin back in 6th. Wants that top 5, but just unfortunately it looks like it's falling a little bit out of reach here how far we get into this run. But one thing we need to watch for also is Austin Mies about 3, and Chris Klein both about 3/10 quicker than Eric Dillingham in 3rd. So the podium position still up for grabs in my opinion.
But I think the thing is drivers over the radio are talking about fuel numbers. Some guys were not saving as well as maybe they should have been. There is concern rumbling over the radio of, do we have enough fuel to make it? The 37 of Jordan Maddox did not. Had to come into pit road to get service done. So there's about 5 to 7 drivers that are concerned that fuel might become an issue here in the final 5 laps.
Yeah, that could definitely be an issue here for a few of these guys in the final 5 or so. We'll just have to see what they do. Do they implement a splash if you don't make it, or do you just wait it out too long? Or it's always a question when you're that close, Sam, of you don't want to pit because you know it's just going to be a huge loss of time and you're not going to get it back with others that will make it. But if you wait too long, that loss will be even greater. So it's a kind of a question of, if you know you're not going to make it, I feel like you have to come down here pretty quickly, get some fuel in the car, get in position just in case something happens. But if you want to risk it and see if you can catch a yellow, you can always do that too.
Risking it with coming into pit road to get service done was the 37, who rides behind our top 2. Maddox took tires and fuel as the tire wear to get by our leaders. The problem is that they're using both lanes. As the 37 is trying to find his way in over the radio, it's Crow cannot make it, which I think no surprise, mainly because he was about to run out of fuel in the next 2 laps. Did not have enough fuel to make it. The 33 into pit road, the caution that they needed never happened, as Boomer Shine's watching the lap down driver, the 37, just go back and forth, and that little bit of teasing of if he's going to make the pass or not actually hurting Boomer Shine.
It definitely hurt Boomer Shine a ton right there. Man lose a ton of momentum, and here now going around his outside makes him lose even a more momentum. So about 3/10 there, in my opinion, loss from all that. What he's going to hope now, he's going to hope that the same loss for the 7 happens here now, but I think the 7 is going to be in a little bit better position to let the 37 just go along the inside. So Boomer Shine going to have to reformulate here because 10 laps to go now. He is running out of time if he wants to get around that 7. And the biggest thing is, are they going to have enough fuel? Because, like you said, some of the others are starting to get concerned.
Getting to that point, I mean, backing off might not be the worst thing, but with that pass being made, now it's just the leaders racing against one another. Report for Crow, just said misread the numbers. He will be in a spot where he's going to try to stay out there, but he knows pit road is calling his name. He just needs a caution to happen quickly. Instead of battling for 4th, why not battle for 3rd? Who's going to talk with us up at the booth? Because Dillingham has been caught, and he is currently just backing off on pace. He was in trouble being caught. He is now, and it's the 97 to the 51. Now it's a 3-horse battle for who's going to take 3rd.
That's right. Podium is up for grabs, and it's going to be Austin Mies, the first to attack. But Klein pushing the 89 here, almost getting onto the back bumper. Just has to check up, get to the inside of the 89 as Mies makes the pass. Klein's going to have to quickly do this. You cannot get held up here getting around this 89 if you want to have a shot at that 3rd place finish. As Dillingham going to drop back to 5th here. Dillingham's focused now on the final 10. You're 2 seconds ahead of Corbin Reich in the 21. Just, stabilize your loss here. Don't lose enough to allow that 21 to get back here to you to steal that top 5.
I think there might be an issue with Dillingham. Didn't fuel up enough. There might have been a mistake the last time he came into pit road on how much fuel was put into this 89. And I think that's why he's kind of in a little bit of extreme save to make sure he's good on fuel to the end. More drivers heading into pit road, the 707. That's going to be David Collins, who was not good on fuel. He's just going to come in with a splash in and go for the 707. Up front, the gap is building up as Clary's finding the space, finding the rhythm, and the lap down machine gave enough way room for the 7 to continue to build this gap. Now it's over a half a second.
Yeah, once he got past that couple, that 10th of a second, 2/10 of a second barrier, he's kind of opened up his gap a little bit to Boomershine there. So we'll see if Colin can continue to extend that, or can Boomershine just put a last dash effort in to get around him.
Everyone's trying to find their footing of, do you have enough fuel? Do you need to save? The closest battle on track for position is the battle for third. That's Austin Mees as well as Chris Klein going back and forth. Klein running the lower line to try to save the fuel. Currently 56, just finished lap 56 on fuel and tires for the 51. It's gonna be a little bit of time, but 5 laps to go for Colin Clairhey, who's looking for the redemption after all of the fiasco at Richmond last week. The 7 thought he was going into victory lane, but across the line, the black flag said otherwise. Here tonight, trying to get into victory lane for the 3rd time this season. And Zach, with a win tonight for the 7, he would sweep so far all 3 mile-and-a-half tracks.
That would be a huge statement, especially after last week at Richmond. I mean, he was strong at Richmond. Definitely didn't have the long run pace that Drew Blaze, so he's probably going to go to the drawing board to work on that. But man, the intermediates, from what we've seen even before we got here, looking at the stats, he looks like he's been perfect on it. And tonight, doing exactly what he needs to, and then pulling away in the right moments too. Boomershine, I think, did everything in his power to hang on, but these last few moments, I think that car's starting to fade for him here. But I tell you what, still a great run for the 92 if he's able to bring it home here in this 2nd position ultimately.
And for Colin Clairhey, I mean, this also is going to be a huge positive, because currently, based off qualifying position, it would be the 7 taking that bonus point of the most positions gained here tonight, on top of winning. I mean, this is a huge day for a points leader, just trying to grow his points lead even more, on top of the fact that 2nd place runner of Drew Blaze was taken out of this race and is going to get last in points, not going to be able to finish this race. You thought the points was ballooned out at 18 points being the difference between 1st and 2nd. It's going to be way worse heading into next week's race at Dover. Cannot wait for it. Don't miss out. Next week should be a good one. But Colin Clairhey, what a run that this 7 machine has had so far off the exit of turn number 4. Across the line, looks up to the flag stand. It's the white flag for the 7 of Colin Clairhey.
One more lap to go for Colin for race win number 3. It's 1.6 seconds back to Paul Boomershine, and it's been a dominant night from the 7.
The question was, who was going to find the fuel? Who was going to find the spacing? The timing of the caution almost hurt the 7, but it was all about the speed at the end of the day. Started the race off with an EOL, but redemption after missing out on the win last week. Call it a win here at Chicagoland for the Renwood 263. It's all Colin Clairhey.
What a job from the 7, first 3-time winner this season. And he did it in a dominant fashion. So strong. Had, a great, really, mid portion of the race where he was just so far out there. Had the threat from Boomershine there late with 10 even laps to go still. And just put it all together there in the final 10 and drove away.
And Eric Dillingham was caught, wasn't passed. The 89, able to hold off for 5th place. A great day for that crew. And Reich will come away with 6th. A couple of drivers getting their best finish of the season so far, but it's the 7 of Colin Clairhey that gets it done. 3rd win of the season. Getting 4 top 5, 5th top 10 of the 6 races ran. This 7, talked about consistency. That's what you need to have at this point of the season. The 7's proven it right now. The driver to beat is Colin Clairhey. Well, for us up at the booth, the 7... Hey, maybe there's a little bit of speed helping up there in the front end with that contact, but the 7 looks quick and is going to be a driver to watch out for moving forward. But we will be back for the post-race show talking with our top 3, Colin Clairhey, Paul Boomershine, and also the 97 Austin Meese. We'll be back in just a few moments to talk to our top 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You've been watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. Race number 6, the Renwood 263 at Chicagoland, is in the books, and your winner is going to be Colin Clairhy, taking the victory for the 7, his 3rd win of the season. Could have been 4 after last week, but with all the fiasco of last week, redemption here tonight. Colin, congratulations on the win, man. How are you feeling after this one?
Thank you very much, man. Yeah, I kind of feel like I was owed one by the racing gods after what happened last week. So glad to get her done here. Got a little scary there at the end, but
Yeah, definitely got a little close there at the end, Colin. Congrats again on the win, man. It's great to see you get the redemption here tonight. I mean, take us through that last 15, because Paul really had some great pace to keep up with you there at the end.
yeah, I think I moved up top a little bit too early in the run, so I hurt my right front a little bit. And I also think maybe the top rubbered in a bit and lost some speed because I started pulling away when I moved to the bottom last 10 or so. So
I mean, Colin, you sweep the mile and a half so far this season with this win here tonight. We're heading to Dover. Then we've got the full length Charlotte race before we go to our one and only road course. What's the future of the schedule looking for you? Are you feeling confident about these next 3 races, or any of them a worry for you?
not sure about Dover, never driven it in this car. However, Charlotte is probably top 3 of my best tracks. So looking forward to that one.
Oh, we cannot wait to see how you perform, Colin. Congratulations on this win. And if you have any shout outs, the floor's now yours for any other calls.
Drew and Justin, of course, as always, for putting this together. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, Colin, enjoy this one and good luck next week at Dover.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to go talk to Paul Boomershine. As what a run, his best finish so far this season. Paul, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on second place here tonight. Man, how are you feeling after your performance this evening?
Pretty good, pretty good. I didn't really expect that, and just try to save my tires, and it worked out pretty good. So
Definitely worked out very well. I mean, that caution coming out played a huge factor in how it shook up the race. But like you said, saved the tires well. You're able to keep up really good pace there with Colin at the end, even, threatening him there in the final 10. I mean, take us through that final run, because you were very, very strong there to stay right there with the 7.
yeah, I was when I was in third. I was just trying to let hold on, trying to let them just basically wear their tires out and just try to save mine. But then I got to second there, and again, just trying to save tires, stay with them, and just see what I can do. But about, I think it was like 10 to go when the lap cars were starting to get involved. My tires went to hell, and I lost them. So, but it was good. It was fun.
I mean, Paul, we're still up here in the booth trying to get used to you guys as drivers. Upcoming ones, very different on tracks we're going to. We have got Dover, Charlotte, and then Watkins Glen, our one and only road course this season. What's the confidence with these upcoming tracks ahead of us?
For me personally, I don't know what to expect with Dover. I love Charlotte. To be honest, I didn't really expect this tonight, to be honest, but I'm more looking forward to Charlotte. But yeah, Dover's going to be we'll see, I guess.
Well, we're hoping for the best for you, Paul. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
No, I think I'm good. So just thanks for you guys for broadcasting this. This is fun. This has been great. So yeah,
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That'll be your second place finisher of Paul Boomershine. Paul, enjoy this one and good luck trying to survive Dover.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
As we move down from second place to third, we get to bring in Austin Meese and get a sense on what this 97 was feeling, because we were questioning on the fuel. We made the fuel stretch it to the end. Austin, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Well, Austin, you had a fantastic battle with Klein there throughout that whole entire final run. But how are you feeling coming away third here tonight?
Man, I'm tired. That one made me sweat for sure. We battled out, like you said, that whole last stint, pretty much mirror driving most of that, to be honest. But I do appreciate there towards the end, he got into me and backed off. Didn't do anything dirty. So a lot of respect to him for that, but definitely tired after this one.
Definitely can see how that all worked out. I mean, you were in the group of the drivers that had to take that wave around there, Austin. So you guys had to really work hard. I mean, it was right in the mix with even the drivers battling for the lucky dog. I'm sure there was a lot of battling going on. How'd you end up keeping the tires underneath you there to be able to, go through the field there and hold on to, and even drive all the way to third?
Honestly, one word: patience. When you get in that spot, it's so easy to want to push early. You want to get through it all and get up there, but that's the quickest way to burn tires, especially at this track. So just being patient. Know I had to make my marks, and honestly, I knew when we started as far back as we did, it was going to be pretty unlikely to win it. We just had too big of a hill to climb, but to work through all that and end up a P3, I can't be mad at that at all. It's kind of a bummer. I felt like really, especially on that second stint before the caution, obviously we got trapped there with coming into pit, but I really feel like we're going to be in a great position to battle for that win. And it was just kind of heartbreaking, honestly, when that happened. But at the end of the day, I'll still take P3.
I know, Austin, we're still in the first half of the season, but after tonight, you should move up into second in points, trying to find a way to catch up to Colin, who won here tonight. What do you feel like you need to do in these upcoming races to run down that 7 in points, as we've got Dover next week, then the full length Charlotte, and then the one road course of the season at Watkins Glen?
Yeah, that's a great question. He is really fast. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. In order to catch him and pull off the win when he's out there, it's just going to be consistency. Nights like tonight, I just make small mistakes, and I guess really that caution wasn't, I couldn't predict that by any means. But I've just noticed with Colin, if you're not hitting your marks every single lap for the entire race, you're just not going to catch him. So, props to him for making it hard and being so smooth as he is. The next 3 tracks, Dover, pretty good at. I'm not a road course guy, although I'm working on it. So that's going to be a bit of a struggle. So the next few in the schedule are going to be interesting. See how we fan out in points. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, Austin, we can't wait to see how you perform and the rest of the field. Congratulations on third. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, appreciate that. Big shout out to McConey Setup Shop. Those guys are awesome. Jeff's always helping out, answering any questions I've got as far as tweaking setup. Demon Decals, they came on board this year. Those guys are awesome. DCS Underground, Show Me Restoration, 76 Customs, Skip and Sons Heating and Air, all those guys. They're local to me where I'm at, and used to sponsor my real car, so I like to show them love when we get the broadcast. So, and of course, thanks to the league guys for putting this on, much appreciated, and you guys as well.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. It was awesome to watch your battle between yourself and Chris there at the end, but we hope to be talking to you more, Austin, moving forward. Enjoy this third place finish, and good luck next week at Dover.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
As that will finish up our interviews here tonight. That's going to be the 97 of Austin Meese, coming away with a great finish for himself in third after having to take the wave around. Had to be out there on 60 plus old tires and stretching the fuel. Same goes to Chris Klein. As we bring up our unofficial results here tonight, the driver who will get the bonus point as well as the win and extending his points lead is Colin Clarkey in the 7 with Victory Lane, where he is currently second place goes to Paul Boomershine with his best finish of the season so far for the 92. Then it's Austin Meese in the 97 coming away third. Chris Klein fourth. Fifth goes to Eric Dillingham, who was just really saving his fuel there late. Luckily, 6th with a top 5 finish. Corbin Reich taking 6th place with Austin Swan. Going to have 7th. That is a fantastic finish for the 85. Top 10 for himself. Russell Windsor takes 8th. 9th goes to Nicholas Donafranco, who honestly, surprisingly, coming away 9th. First driver 1 lap down. I know he was hoping for a better day, but 9th, a top 10 after the way his race started. Not bad at all with the 3 of Chris Lannis going to take that 10th place position. Zach, you look at the rest of the schedule. Is there anyone else that kind of pops up that you're surprised or shocked on where they finished?
Yeah, I mean, you look through the rest of it there, you had some big moments there for the likes of Johnny Bobby Brown there. Those guys were battling for Lucky Dogs. They're in 13th, but I look to someone like Alex Duchesne. He had a wild night in the 9. Unfortunately, got caught up in some stuff. He was back in 16th, 2 laps down. And then also Tony Ideluca had some speed early. He was right in the mix. He's going to come in 17th. He's going to be 3 laps down after getting caught up in a few incidents. But I think the one that really stands out to me is the 2 in 22nd and 24th. Mike Fahey caught up, of course, with the incident with Caden Watts, and then last week's winner, Drew Blaze, there in 24th, also caught up in that same incident. So that really hurt their nights, and was looking like probably a top 5 for both of those drivers at some point there with the way the fuel strategy was going to play out.
Yeah, I think they both are going to be drivers to keep our eyes out on moving forward. And speaking about moving forward, our next race, Dover. Heard in the interview, some have no idea what to expect. Some are excited, but everyone has to be aware. Miles the Monster is always ready to cause some chaos. And Zach, next week, I'm excited for it because we get to see some concrete racing action.
Yeah, I'm super excited actually for Dover. I know with these new updates, I've been kind of nerding out on the rubber, how it lays down and picks up during yellows. So I'm going to be watching. During yellow flags, you're going to see Zach inspecting the track very thoroughly. So I'm just interested to see how iRacing can replicate that, because that's one of the huge things that you really get to see on the broadcast in real life is how much rubber really lays down at Dover. And then as soon as they get a yellow flag, they kind of pick it back up with the hot tires and just rip it off the surface, and it's back to that really bright, lighter color. So, and it really changes how the balance of the car goes from one end to the other. So it really makes the racing, I think, one of those things where it's kind of like you're going back and forth between what you gotta do and how you gotta drive. So if they can replicate that in iRacing, I think that'll be a very, very telltale sign there at Dover. So we'll see how that all works out. But tonight, man, it was really fun to watch Chicagoland again. This track always puts on a great show.
It certainly does. And the lowest caution count of the season so far at 1. We'll see if we can get any caution-free races moving forward. Next week's going to be a tough one. We'll see how Dover handles it. It's going to be a long one on top of that. 260 laps in total. But tonight, I want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us. Those that were in the chat for the super chats as well, and everyone that's just coming in and watching us live, or if you've gotten to this point of the broadcast rewatching it, thank you for joining with us. Once the stream's over, remember to go down to the comments. Let us know, what was your favorite part of the race? How did it all go down? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button to be notified when we go live. But from us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, and for Robert Moyer Jr., thank you so much for joining with us here on your Monday night, your new home for the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. Race 6 is in the books. The Renwood 263 at Chicagoland goes to Colin Clairhy. What a run, having over a 2-second gap over Paul Boomershine. But can they survive next week? That's going to be the question as we head to Dover. The next race on the docket, 260 laps. What will the track stay look like at the end of that one? We'll have to find out and see on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame, 'cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. It's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels.